The 2025-2026 season has been filled with many positive stories for the Montreal Canadiens, but none more positive than what we are seeing out of Juraj Slafkovsky. And don't get me wrong, the big Slovak has been proving throughout the course of this entire season that he is that guy, that his first overall status was probably justified, and he has been putting Canadiens fans' butts into seats this year. But this previous few weeks has entered another territory, another dimension for the big Slovak in Montreal. Let's just look at a holistic view of Slafkovsky's season. He's got 61 points, 27 goals in 69 games played so far this season. Already a career high. No biggie. He's on pace for 72 points. That would be 21 points more than his second most productive season. He's got 27 goals. He's on pace for 32. Yes, I know there is a big conversation to have about one very particular Montreal Canadien and his 43 goals on the year. But make no mistake about it, man, Juraj Slafkovsky, he has a lot to do with that. Take a look at the points over the last few games. 15 points in his last 10, 8 points in his last 5. Juraj Slafkovsky, especially with the 4-point game that he had against the Islanders Saturday night, is really putting on a show. And when you look at the ice time, you look at the minutes, you look at what Slav has been able to do ever since being named a top player at the Olympic Games for Slovakia and being one of the top point producers in the entire tournament. Slafkovsky has played 12 games for Montreal since returning from the Olympics, and he has only not scored a point in 2 of them. Every other game has had at least 1 point, with many of these games getting multiple. 2 goals, 2 assists versus the Islanders. 2 goals, 1 assist versus the Kings. 2 assists versus the Anaheim Ducks. And then you go into the Olympic break where the guy was torching everything that moved. We said that Juraj Slafkovsky found a new home on the second line of the Montreal Canadiens with Oliver Kapanen and Ivan Demidov. But man, oh man, ever since he has been moved back to line 1, it feels like a new awakening for the big Slovak. Take a look at what Martin St. Louis said yesterday about Juraj Slafkovsky. The game has slowed down for him this year. Since he's come back to the first line, he has gradually returned to his identity. Tonight, he did everything. He was physical. He won puck battles. He made plays. He went into scrums. He checked all the boxes. That's what you need from a player like Slafkovsky. He has all the abilities to do it all. When he puts it all together, it's another good year for him in his progression. It's fun to watch him play like this. Now, of course, it's very easy for a head coach to be positive about a guy after the guy gets 2 goals and 2 assists against a team that you're technically battling for a playoff spot with. Not that the Islanders are in the Atlantic or whatever, but still, Montreal's top 3 spot in the Atlantic is not guaranteed at this point, and whatever points you can get over Eastern Conference teams, especially in that point range, is very, very valuable. And Juraj Slafkovsky got things started for Montreal, which allowed them to have a very domineering 7-3 victory. Let's go out there and read some of the comments from this post. He's going to hit 30 goals and 70 to 75 points, I'd think, in his 22-year-old year. If you had told me to expect that when we had drafted him, I'd have been very skeptical. That's really hard to do, while also being physical and playing solid defensively. I'm very happy for him, and I'm so excited to watch him keep getting better. The fact that he's potting 30 goals is absolutely beyond what I'd imagine for a 21-year-old. I cannot wait to see his 31-year-old season. I agree about what he's becoming, but he was absolutely never drafted as a pure goal scorer. He's always been more of a tight area playmaker. People just got the goal-scoring impression because of his Olympics. The increased willingness to shoot and drive play himself is what's blown me away about his development. Just incredible strides in areas that used to be a weakness. Another reply said, did anyone really think that he lost it when he wasn't in the top line? No, the fact is he had a really big breakdown when he was on that second line. That's when people realize that Slafkovsky makes everyone around him a better player. And this, I think, was a pretty necessary step in the story for Juraj Slafkovsky, because when he was on that second line, it's like he was given permission, internally, mentally, to take control of the play and try to drive things forward himself. When he was on the first line earlier in the year and throughout the parts of last season that we saw him there, you could tell that Slafkovsky was maybe a little bit tentative and he didn't have that same activation mentally when he had the puck on his stick. He was more of a play facilitator. He was like, okay, my job is to get it to Suzuki and Caulfield, and I'm not really going to do too much myself. I just got to set it up for those guys because they're pretty good and I'm still young, I'm still learning. When he was with Kapanen and Demidov, two guys that are not as good as Suzuki and Caulfield, he's like, okay, well, I guess I'll do it myself. And now he's taken that I guess I'll do it myself mentality to the first line. And he has scored points. Going back to the middle of March, the guy has scored points on points on points ever since the Olympic break has ended. And now he is on pace for some very incredible things. Take a look at this comment from a reporter. They asked, are you going to keep your hair short? Slafkovsky said, yeah, well, for now. I don't think it's going to grow back tomorrow. Look at this guy, eh? Talk about the Timothy Chalamet Marty Supreme cut. Getting all set for the filming and production of Dune 3. Maybe Slafkovsky is going to be up for some pretty big awards towards the end of the season. There is a Slovak bluntness and effortless humor that we know and love. Happy Slav is a scoring Slav. The best Slav is joking Slav. Meanwhile, you still have some other conversations talking about his progression. I remember his first season when he struggled to take a few strides without falling down, and his general awkwardness in the play. He's come a really long way, and he'll be amazing for years to come. Remember once upon a time when we had spoken about Juraj Slafkovsky and we called him a clunky Pierre Engvall? Let's see if we can find the video here. We made a commentary about it all those years ago, but Slafkovsky, back when he was drafted in 2022, did stir up some conversation as to whether or not he was actually that kind of a player. There we go. Clunky Engvall. This was a conversation that actually garnered quite a bit of attention. The video had 21,000 views. A lot of people going out there, especially Leaf fans, trying to diss the new Canadiens' first overall pick. But ultimately, Pierre Engvall was like the absolute floor for this dude. I'd say that long-term, a ceiling for Juraj Slafkovsky still lies in that Mikko Rantanen-esque territory in terms of the way he's able to move around and the way that he paroles the offensive zone. I don't necessarily think it's safe to put anybody at Mikko Rantanen production level expectations because... Look, let's face it, Mikko Rantanen is one of the most productive players in the NHL. You take a look at what he has done with the Dallas Stars and with the Colorado Avalanche. Discount everything with Carolina. But Rantanen is a multi-time 100-point player who would have been at 100 points this season had he just played all the games. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to put anybody in the same box and say, oh yeah, no, they're going to score 100 points. But Slafkovsky's 21, and he's going to be getting, 70 points this season and 30 goals? That's pretty good for a 21-year-old, I'd say. And with the extended production, Cole Caulfield finally hitting 40, he could be on his way to 50, he could be challenging for the Rocket Richard, with Nick Suzuki at 80+, potentially getting to 90, and maybe he gets 100 soon too. If it doesn't happen this year, maybe it happens next year. There are a number of conversations we can have about Montreal Canadiens guys producing, and Juraj Slafkovsky is one of the biggest gears to get that conversation flowing. So with that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the awakening of Juraj Slafkovsky getting to this extremely impressive point in his production and his development as a Montreal Canadien? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.